very warm welcome back to Hockenheim for the third and final race of the opening weekend of the GT Summer Series. Well, it was rainy this morning, but the sun has come out once again, and we are excited to see what happens in this final race. Now, this final race is going to be ever so slightly different to the two sprint races that we had before, because of course we do have a pit stop to contend with. The race itself 50 minutes in duration, but something that hasn't changed, never changes, is the two gentlemen that I have alongside me. A good thing, never a bad thing to have the two of you alongside me, Andy and Adam. We've given Adam a mic this time, so you can give us your own thoughts, Adam. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I've already almost belted out Aussies I'm going through changes when you started saying that, so it's going well so far. But yeah, really glad that we've got some sunshine again for race number 3, and it means that we've got some variety on the day, because again, race 2 was very different. This one, between the pit stops and the fact that it's dry, again, this is going to be a completely different race again.
Yeah, really, really excited for it, Andy. And for you, I mean, what are you looking forward to? Our final race, we've already had 2 different winners. Could we get a third?
I think there's half a chance, really, because this race we're going to have the added X factor of, you know, second drivers jumping into a couple of the cars, the pit stop. There are so many perils potentially there that could trip teams over. And again, you know, the form cars that we've had this weekend, they're all towards the front, but not necessarily right at the front. So it could be a really interesting race, this. The weather is hopefully going to be pretty stable now, so that at least takes one variable out of it. But there's plenty of other things that could still trip people up.
There certainly are, and plenty of the drivers as well, you know, new to cars or, you know, new to this format this weekend and things like that. And with the weather now being more stable, as you say, that should help a few of them out.
They will certainly be happy, those with less experience, clearly. There's an argument to say that you want to experience a little bit of all weathers, because then you're going to learn more, but in the moment it doesn't always feel like that for the drivers. We saw a couple caught out by it earlier on this morning. So yeah, much closer conditions to yesterday, but noticeably cooler. And outwardly it looks like the track's basically in the same condition it was for race 1, but actually that has quite a severe impact on how you set these cars up, even down to things like tyre pressures and whatnot. That will be something that's caused a bit of head scratching for the teams, and over a longer race, if you've got it wrong, it's going to look even more obvious, so that could be a deciding factor.
Yeah, we will certainly keep an eye on that. Right, you can see the Heroes Arena is full behind us. We will let Andy go off and do his final preparations, and both Adam and I are going to take a walk, so I will start by going over to the number 45, and that is going to be our pole sitter, Thomas Vestarp. Now, of course, 2 P2s so far this weekend. He's just having a chat, but I am going to grab him. Well, final race of the weekend. It's been 2 P2s so far. You're back on pole. How are you feeling for this one?
I feel good. The weather is nice. I hope the car is really the same, and I hope I have a good race. It
would be nice to end the weekend with a win, wouldn't it?
Yes, I hope I finish this race with a win, yes.
And in the race this morning, of course, it was raining. I mean, Ole obviously taking the win this morning, but with it being dry now, it should favour you a little bit more?
Please repeat.
You think the conditions should favour you a little bit more now?
Yes, the conditions can help me a little bit, yes, but we will see. It's a long distance now, and we will see.
All right, best of luck. Thank you for speaking to us. There is our pole sitter. Now we're going to wind our way round, because I believe that Adam Weller will have a little chat with our P2, and that is going to be Ole Petersen, our winner from this morning.
Yeah, absolutely right. Ole Petersen winning the race this morning in very different conditions, wet conditions. You were really giving it everything despite the wet weather, using all of the curbs. I know at the start of the weekend you told me, you know, I'm taking it easy, I'm getting used to the car. I feel like you're already used to the car.
No, not yet. I really need more laps in the car, and hopefully after this year I feel more confident in the car.
And we were just talking before we had the camera over here, obviously, about the fact that your family is here. We've seen your children with you on the podium, but also your dad's here, and you all work together in the same business. So there's a car dealership that 3 generations of the family have worked in.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. And tell us about that. Is that a challenging role?
Yeah, sometimes it's a challenge, but also sometimes it's also good. It's good for so I can go out and drive some race sometimes also.
This is a nice way to relax and unwind, correct?
Yeah, totally.
Amazing. Well, we look forward to seeing you pushing to the limit again in this wonderful car. You've been great entertainment so far this weekend, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Let's go then over to Izzy. She's managed to catch up with race 1 winner, Alex Croker.
I certainly have him alongside me. Of course, they'll be starting in P4 for this race. I mean, it's going to be both of you featuring in this race for the first time. How pleased were you with Pierre's performance this morning?
Well, this morning I was really happy about his performance because he's not that very experienced in the rain, so it was pretty good what he did, and I was quite happy, especially second place in our GT3 AM class and 4th overall, so I'm pretty happy.
And in terms of your role with Pierre, what kind of things are you looking for in terms of coaching and things like that to kind of help him improve?
Well, of course, we also compare a little bit the data and then have a look what he's doing out there. I mean, his line is pretty good. It's just little things where he can improve, and yeah, they're quite. There's still some gaps between, but he's improving all the time, and that's good.
And he will be starting the race, or you will be starting the race in this third race now?
No, Pierre will start because it's more easy for us with the measurement for the tires that we can bleed them when he's coming in. So it's better to bring them down than to give pressure in. So that's the reason why he is starting.
And so in terms of what your role will be then after the pit stop, is it just a case of see where you are after the pit stops and then go, go, go?
Well, I will try my best, of course. I want to catch up to the front, and let's see how he is getting in and how I get into the race and what I can achieve in the last few minutes, or let's see when he's coming in.
And how much have you enjoyed this weekend overall so far? I mean, we've had, as you say, mixed conditions, but you did a fabulous job yesterday, great winning margin, you were dominant in that race, so it must be quite nice to have started like that.
Yeah, of course, couldn't be better. I mean, also for myself, there were a couple of things where I could improve by myself because I was not fully happy with the setup in the beginning, but I think we found something, and yeah, still improving, and was a very good start, I would say.
All right, well, we'll see how you do in this race. Good luck. Thank you for speaking to us. Right, we do have alongside him the number 24. That is going to be the Ferrari of Matt Rosner. Of course, we spoke to him this morning because he took an overall podium, but as you can see, Adam Weller has Gregor Dreisel.
I do indeed. Yes, thank you, Izzy. Gregor with me.
Yep.
Difficult weekend so far because you DNF or didn't start even in race 1.
We didn't even start.
And race.
Start, but we had only the formation lap, and yeah, it was a very bad weekend for us. So we had a very good Friday with a long run and very good times, and on Saturday morning we had a lot of technical issues in the qualifying, especially in qualifying 2 with a broken clutch.
Yeah.
So we tried to make the best in the race 1 yesterday, but in the formation lap our brake disc on the front left broke. So we got very lucky that it happened in the formation lap and not a little bit later on or before in the qualifying.
Yeah, exactly right. And then, of course, in race 2 this morning, you had your spin, but otherwise it looked like you had good pace. Now that we're in a longer race, you said you're good at the long runs. Are you aiming for a podium in this one?
I hope so. We make the best we can, and yeah, for me it was very difficult in the morning. It was the first time with the Pirelli rain tires. I mean, especially with rain tires. It was my first race in the rain with this car, and so well, yeah, I had to get a feeling for the rain tires. So I had a spin at the beginning, so that was not necessary. But you know, sometimes it happens, and so I hope it was the last spin, and we tried to make the best now.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you can do. It's one of my favourite cars because I can always see where it is on the camera shot.
That's fine.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good to speak to you. Okay. Let's go over now to Izzy. She's got both members of the XR Racing team.
I certainly do have both of them alongside me, Paul and Marco. I mean, once again, a happy birthday, a great birthday so far. Final race of the weekend, you had a great battle earlier until it, was ended with the red flag, with actually that going in your favour. What have you been up to between between the two races now in terms of setup? What are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, I mean the conditions clearly are completely different, right? Back to dry. So of course the car is on a dry setup as well. We have fresh slick tires after that. Paul will start the race with best conditions out there, and we will do our best to have. We know we have strong competition this time with also the second drivers on the other cars, but we'll do our best to, of course, bring home the victory here. Yeah.
You certainly do. So what's your role then in terms of, you know, obviously you're starting the race. What's the goal? What's the aim for your first stint?
So we tried to close the gap to the front row. We tried to close a small gap to the GT3 cars, and hopefully I will give the wheel to Marco on place number 1, and he will do the same as yesterday and this morning, and so we have a quite happy day.
Yeah, you've done an awesome job so far this weekend. Wish you best of luck and enjoy it out there, most importantly. Right, I think that's just about enough time with our drivers down here, and we will see who else we spoke to earlier in the weekend in the Heroes Arena.
We are delighted to welcome into the GT Summer Series paddock a team and driver that we're very familiar with from the GT Winter Series, PTT Racing team here. I've got Martin Krzyzkowski and Igor Klyer, driver for PTT Racing, and indeed class champion in the Winter Series. I suppose we should start there, really. Congratulations. You must have been really happy with how the winter went.
Yeah, the winter season was great, so that's why I'm here. So actually it was my favorite series, so you do a great job. Nice team, I mean you as a GEDLICH, and it's really a lot of fun driving here.
Were you expecting the Winter Series to go quite so well for you? Obviously a Cup Championship and nearly an overall championship.
Actually not. It was as well. I was driving after one year break, so it was surprising a bit for me. But yeah, after a race, I've got some more confidence, and the car was perfect. So it was really fun to go on the higher level than before.
And of course, Martin, that's where you come in as team principal to give Igor the car that he wants. And after some time out of the car, I guess you were both trying to search for the ideal solution.
Yeah. First, I want to say it was really great, the Winter Series for all of us. Yeah? We drive both cars, but for the Igor, we want to find a solution to prepare for him the supercar. But the Igor do the great job, and all this together managed. We finished in the podium and overall in P3 with Igor. Yeah? I think it was great for us. And Igor really focus on the racing, practice a lot, and this is where he is now.
And of course he came to you guys because you're an experienced team, you know what you're doing, he clearly has faith in you, and now he gives you the call, says he wants to do Summer Series. It's exciting to be here, isn't it? A new championship, and we really appreciate having a team like PTT here. How excited are you to be part of the Summer Series paddock?
We are very happy because, you know, we start with the Winter Series long time ago. I checked it was 5 or 6 years before, yeah? And we start together in this adventure with the Igor. It was first what we do together, and it was when we checked so many years, it was fantastic. 1 year break for the Igor, but he, back in the high level, and I am happy, and I'm happy, and I really think we will be together with you on this series in the next years.
Igor, how important is it then that you have this long-standing relationship with the team, with Marsan? How important was it for you to come into a new series after time away, but to have that familiarity?
Yeah, the trust of the team is crucial. It's the most important because as well the winter season was a bit bumpy, so we had few not expected situations. So the team one night they had to work whole night to fix the car, but in the morning it was perfect. So basically it's really something like a very close relationship between two people, the driver and the team. So as well I have a full trust. I know the car is well prepared, so it's really important. And as well, general this series is really professional. I want to add, I was last week in WRC because my company Forever was sponsor Oliver Solberg, and I was in Grobnik. There was a camp and actually this is what we have here, your paddock. actually it looks more spectacular than the paddock of WRC actually. so basically I think it's a lot of fun to see it, and good drivers, a lot of fight on the track, fair ones, amazing. I enjoy it a lot.
And have you set yourself any expectations for the summer series? Obviously a different set of racetracks than we've seen you race on, but I'm sure you have experience at most of them.
No, actually, I'm first time here in Hockenheim, and all the German tracks so far I was not driving, so for me it's new, and this my expectation is, I mean, I've got the confidence during the winter series. I feel confidence on the track. I need to work on the pace, so I want to drive faster, and this is the goal. So basically, and get know to the tracks. Summer series in this part of Europe is a bit tricky for me. I have allergies, so I have to fight with my allergy as well. So so it's something which is something between. That's why in the past I was not doing this. This year, yes, and it's a lot of fun. You do a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm liking this. We'll bring you back every time. Marcin, just want to talk a little bit then about the preparation for an event like this, with Igor not having the experience of these sort of tracks. We see the racing side of it, that's all we cover on the live coverage, but so much more goes into this beforehand. Where do you start then with the free practice? Do you have set programs that you work with Igor on?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, in general, we work 24/7, almost, yeah, you know, because after the winter series, we don't have so much time to preparing the car to check, because it was a lot of driving, yeah. And when we back, we want to do some test days with the Igor as well. And I think, in general, it's a lot of work with the preparation of the Igor. It's Igor for sure. The check the track on the sim, but it's not the same, you know, to learn. And we have some setups, you know, because we drive the sports cup here. In this case, we don't come, but without any idea how to drive with the car here. But the Pirelli tires are, in my opinion, over here, it's really, really good tire to drive. And we have some ideas to set up the car on Pirelli tires. In this case, I think all together, we and him, we could full package ready to run.
Good. Well, we've had success from you in the past. We hope for more success in the GT Summer Series. Great to have PTT and Igor Klyer back in the GEDLICH Racing paddock for GT Summer Series.
If I may add something to this, because, you know, that's a very interesting question. What is the preparation? You know, this one is from my point of view. I'm a gentleman's driver. It's not my profession. So, yeah, first of all, PTT as a team, and I shouldn't say this because they will ask more money for it. They have great experience on the track. They know the setup for each track. But on the top of it, this is the most important, we have great instructor. Mateusz Rysowski is a great guy, world champion in GT3. So basically this is something important. I spent 0 minutes on the sim here, so I didn't have time actually. So all the knowledge, he's sitting on the right seat on the first day, he's giving perfect instruction. So this is really critical, because I know that many drivers struggle. You know, we don't know how to drive. It's not like we're going to the track as a amateur and we know this line or this line, this corner, this point, breaking point. So the team is complex. So there is one setup of the car is important, because the guy were here. They were driving in different series on pro level, and they know how to do it. But as well as the pro driver is extremely important to give you the instruction and follow it, and we do it. So this is, you know, some full setup of the car, of the team, and the team is combination of the mechanics and the instructors. So I'm very happy to drive with them.
It's a full team effort, isn't it? Full team effort. Well, thank you very much for having a chat, and best of luck for the Summer Series.
Welcome back to the Heroes Arena for what will be the final grid group here today. We have got the second group of cars in, ready to go to the pre-grid shortly. But Adam, I mean, the wind has picked up, first of all. That could maybe catch a few drivers out if it gets much heavier.
Absolutely. The crosswinds going down the Parabolica can be pretty unsteadying for a driver. But the main thing, and we've seen it at Winter Series venues before, with a corner like the Turn 6 hairpin, if they have have a tailwind pushing them into the corner, everything they know about that braking zone changes definitively. So I'm not smart enough to know which way it's going. I think it's a bit of a crosswind actually. So it's going to be interesting to see how that affects some of the braking zones.
Yeah, it certainly will be interesting. But as I say, we have the second group of cars behind us, and this car behind us, the number 27, I mean, they've done fairly well so far this weekend, taking the clean sweep of GT4 wins. They really have done a good job, Bernd Schabel and Tobias Erdmann in that car. Can they make it 3 for 3?
Can they make it 3 for 3 is a very good question. Of course, there's championship pedigree in that lineup. Both of them have 5 and 6 years of experience in the cars or in a GT4 Audi R8, so they are very well versed with the car. I do want to do a little bit of GT racing bird watching. This is a pre-Evo Audi R8 LMS GT4, and there's a few ways to spot it. The easiest way, if you want to know in the future, is that there are no segments here above the grille. So this is the pre-Evo spec front bodywork. So it's a slightly older spec car, but Evo kits sometimes, you know, they're quite a lot of money and they're quite sometimes just aesthetic. And clearly, with 2 wins in 2 races so far, it looks brilliant, and having no Evo kit is not costing them any time in the slightest. Got some interesting names around the paddock and are walking around us at the moment. I see Ronnie Bremer actually there. Ronnie, do you reckon we could have a chat?
Let's come and grab you for a chat. I had just seen you walk past and just wondered if I might be able to grab you. Of course, first time you'll be driving this weekend in this race. First of all, how proud are you of the team so far this weekend?
I don't know if we're proud. We could do a bit better time-wise, but let's see what happens. It's the first time for us this year. We haven't any test prior to this race, so we just did the first day practice. So we're steady going the right way, but we'll see how it all goes.
And if you're not testing prior, well, you were a little bit of testing, but the first time you're racing prior to this, how do you kind of prepare for this race?
I mean, without sounding ridiculous, then I have quite a few years in racing, so for me it's not a big problem, but for Johnny he needs a bit more time to get used to everything and get up to gear. So I did 3 laps in the practice, that's all, and then I have a go at it now. But for Johnny he needs a bit more time in the car, and it's a big track compared to the Danish track, so here the speeds are a bit higher, so he has to get used to that.
And then what do you expect for this final race then? A little bit of battling out there?
Yeah, it all depends how quick Johnny is in the beginning. If he gets too far, then it's a big job for me, so hopefully he doesn't get too far behind, and then I can have some fun when I take over.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. Thank you for speaking to us. We will let you go and get prepared. We do have another driver, Bernd Schabel, alongside me. Well, first of all, I think nice to meet you too. I think congratulations are in order because you guys have done very well this weekend. Yeah. How much have you been enjoying it?
Very much. So first we had won my teammate, and now I won this morning in the wet. So yeah, we are great. Now we are looking for the race together. Yeah. So yeah, we like it. Yeah.
And 2 very different races this is going to be from this morning. I mean, the conditions completely different.
Absolutely. Wet this morning and now sun and nice temperatures, and yeah. So yeah, but this morning was hard. We had a 360, so we had a small crash, but all is fine now. We can recover and go on for the next race.
And the 2 of you, I know each other very well. You've raced together for quite a few years. How is that relationship?
It's let's say beside the racing, it's still it's very good friendship. Yeah. So yeah, we do a lot of things together because we have a lot of fun. So yeah, and racing for sure is our main issue. But anyway, so if we have a good team, and the team is also important. It's not only us 2. It's really also the team for Seifert, and so this is, let's say, is our success here.
And the most important thing is that you're enjoying it. You've got a big smile on your face.
Yeah. That's what we do. We do race for fun, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
But that's probably, it makes it a little bit easier. But for sure we want to win. Yeah. That's why we come for.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you've taken 2 wins. We might be seeing you take the 3rd.
Hope so. Yeah. But anyway, it's a new race.
It is.
It's a new challenge, and we go for it.
All right. Best of luck. Thank you for speaking to us. Right. We will continue back. So we do have the number 55 GT5, started by Johnny Pedersen, and Ronnie Bremer will be in that car, who I was just speaking to after the pit stop. Of course, a pit stop window to contend with. Next along, we have the number 42 of Daniel Reiter. So a couple of cars with 2 drivers taking part, and a couple of cars with just the 1 driver. So a much longer race for those the solo drivers to contend with, a 50-minute pit stop race. It'll be super interesting to see what happens in that. Now, you notice there is a gap here. The number 30 Porsche currently with a few battery issues still in the pit lane, but we do understand that they will be able to start the race, so we'll hope to see them on the grid, because they've been doing a fantastic job throughout the weekend. Of course, the first race weekend for Gökhan Kutlu, who we spoke to earlier, and he's got family here to support him at this weekend, but only got his race license on Thursday, so it really is, you know, the first kind of outings in this car. The first the first race he did was tricky conditions, wasn't it? What a way to start, what a baptism of fire. But to round out our grid, we do have the number 10 of Bertolt Grun. You can see him in there just getting it all prepped for this race. That rounds out our grid. Adam Weller, however, has 2 very important people alongside him to talk about the BOP concept of our GT Summer Series.
Absolutely right, Izzy, and it's one of the big things that we've been talking about leading up to the inaugural GT Summer Series weekend has been the BOP system, because we've been clear all along, guys, that we want to have, you know, professional drivers here, we want to have amateur drivers here, but not only do we want them on the same grid, we want them to have at least something a lot closer to equal terms. I think that's always been the stated goal, Marcus, hasn't it, to make sure that drivers who do this a bit like golf can also compete with the drivers who do it for a living.
A little bit like the golf handicap, that's a pretty good comparison, and we decided right from the beginning that the GT Summer Series is supposed to be the best amateur series in the future. We're working on it, getting better step by step, and this led into trying to bring amateurs and professionals as close together as possible.
Yes. And there's a slightly different way of doing it in the GT3s, and then a slightly different way of doing it in the GT4s. So, Robin, if you could just kind of explain to us first in GT3 and then in GT4 what's happening to make sure everyone's on the same terms.
Yes, of course. In the GT3 class, the AM drivers are allowed to use a bigger restrictor than the pro drivers, so they have more horsepower and are able to compete on the same level. And in GT4 we use SRO BOP, but there are handicap weights, so the AM drivers are allowed to unload kilos and the pro drivers need to add some kilos to be equal on the track.
Excellent, yes, and that obviously makes things quite interesting in the races, and I think we've seen that quite a few times already. Just to quickly stray away from just the BOP for one question, Marcus, you know, there are elements of the summer series that are very familiar if you've been in the paddock in the winter series, but also things like the BOP concept are of course new and different. I think what we're doing here, isn't it, is taking the best of the winter series and what works there, but also adapting the formula a bit for this marketplace.
Absolutely. First of all, take the Heroes Arena. Yeah. This was because we don't have the grid time in summer, so we just transferred the grid from the track to the paddock and created the Heroes Arena, where people line up, where people find the PR stuff, find you as an interviewing party. So we have many ideas, and I'm pretty sure some of them you will even find in the winter series next season.
Yes. Exactly, they can kind of rub off on each other and both products can become better. Certainly over the course of the last 2 days I've learnt so much about some of our drivers, and Izzy Browning learnt about one of our colleagues, the German commentator you may recognise from the likes of DTM and GT Masters, Toby Shimon, and they spoke a little bit earlier on.
Well, welcome back to the Heroes Arena at round 1 here in Hockenheim. Now, we are, of course, in Germany. The GEDLICH Racing organisation is a German organisation. So, of course, we are not only broadcasting in English, but we are also broadcasting in German. And that means we welcome a new member to our team this weekend, Toby Shimon, who is the commentator responsible for the German live stream. First of all, how are you? Great to have you in our paddock.
Thank you very much. What a great welcome. What a great organisation. What a great racing series. And das coming a great season, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good season. Right, let's just talk a little bit about your background first, because you've been commentating for many years and you've worked across many different series. You know some of the drivers already in our championship. So just tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, I'm into motorsports now for 15 years, 16 years. I started as a journalist back in the 2011 season of DTM, and then I stuck to DTM for now 16 years. Started just doing some interviews and some stuff, and then it went on, and then there was the opportunity to host the 24-hour race at Nürburgring in 2013, and then I did it for 3 years, and then I joined the new televisions in Germany, TV station Pro7, and worked as a journalist, just doing some videos. And from this season on, I will be the DTM commentator as well for the German television, and are into the 24 Hours of Nürburgring and some other racing series like Porsche Cup and stuff like that.
So you're going to be very busy. I mean, it's great to have you in our paddock. What have you made of the summer series so far? Obviously, we've had 2 races already, and we've got one final race coming up this afternoon.
I think the funny thing is that you see a lot of development during the races. So yeah, we have some drivers that have less experience, just 1 or 2 days, and the other ones are raced 25, 30 years ago, and now they're coming back. And I think this makes it so special. You know, you have this different type of cars, you have this different experiences in motorsport, and to mix it up on one racetrack, and I think they're all enjoying the time. So the first race was a little bit, everyone was shy, everyone was just behaving. And the second race, now with this mixed conditions, honestly, was by far more entertaining, and also for the drivers, they were bright smile, and I think they were quite happy with it.
Yeah, it certainly made things interesting. I mean, we've got bright sunshine now, like race 1 was yesterday, so a change in conditions within the same day as well now for the drivers to adapt to this afternoon. They've also got a pit stop to think about in the endurance race, so plenty to think about in this final race for them.
The good thing is that I think most of them has already some experience with pit stops in the past with other racing series like GT Race or stuff like that. So I think most of them have this experience, but others not, and that makes it quite interesting. I think it will be crazy to see who will start. Maybe the experienced one. I think so. I would do it like that. And the other one is jumping in the car when it's already on temperature, when the tires are great, and they can talk a little bit during the pit stop. Hey, take care of this corner, what's going to happen there.
Well, I guess we'll find out when it gets to that race. I mean, of course, given that you are a familiar face to German GT racing, to many different series, as you just said, you've been to the tracks that we're racing at. So we've got some great tracks. I know Spa, not obviously in Germany, but the others all German tracks, and then our season finale will be back here. Just talk to us a little bit about those tracks and what you think we can expect from the racing there.
So the next round will be at Oschersleben. This is a very narrow track, which makes it easy to overtake in some parts, but I think as it's only 3.5 kilometers long, we see a lot of overtaking stuff and taking care of the race. That's going to be interesting. Well, Nürburgring, of course, Nürburgring is awesome. It's one of the iconic racetracks, isn't it? Even the Formula 1 tested Pirelli tires 1 week ago there. It's still a special track with all the 24-hour racing action. Max Verstappen loves it. Unfortunately, we're not racing the Nordschleife, I know, but also the GP course is pretty nice. Spa, absolutely the highlight. It's incredible to be there. 7 kilometers long with all these crazy corners like Eau Rouge, Blanchiment, the bus stop chicane. Wow, what great names. And then we're here at Hockenheim, and I think Hockenheim is the best track to start the season and to end the season. Why? Because it's a racetrack that suits every car. So every car can be fast here, and that makes it special.
And it's got a lot of history to it as well, and we are just the latest chapter in that history. I mean, for this GEDLICH team, they're a fairly small team behind the scenes. To have put this together so quickly on such a almost short notice, given that they've just come off the winter series where we were hugely busy throughout the first 3 months of the year, is really quite impressive too.
Absolutely, but I think these guys are very highly experienced to make a racing series as professional as possible, and as you can see, the Heroes Arena is great. The hospitality is great. Everyone can join us here for a coffee when it's racing, when they're racing here on the race racetrack. This makes it like a big family, and this is all about motorsport. The motorsport family is here at GT Summer Series.
Very true. Okay, final question then before we let you go. What has been, and I know we have another race, so there may be another highlight, but what has been your highlight of the weekend so far?
Oh, I think Ole Petersen winning in his Super Trofeo, the second race. That was absolutely stunning to watch him going absolutely on the edge at every corner. I remember coming out of the last corner, all on the grass, water spreading, and everyone behind, whoa, yeah, he made it. And that was really cool. And also the fight between the 911s and the Cup 2 series class. That's great. That's racing. That's what we want to see, and the guys love it.
Absolutely, and we have plenty more of that coming up throughout the season, but also one more race coming up today. Toby, thank you so much. It's so great to have you join our team, and we look forward to seeing you at the rest of the rounds.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Excellent to have Toby Schimon with us. A very familiar name when it comes to German motorsport media. The number of times that I've turned on a German language racing stream and seen my buddy Toby, it's he gets everywhere. I should have known that he'd be with us for the inaugural GT Summer Series from the moment we announced it at the tail end of 2025. We're into 2026. We're into the final afternoon of this first race weekend in the GT Summer Series. And once again, a compelling race is in prospect with Thomas Westart there in the number 45 CCS Racing Audi on pole position for the race that is to come. He's been second best most of the weekend, and now he has the opportunity to maybe claim that first win. But what are you thinking with Peterson on his outside there on the front row? Because obviously Peterson got to the front in race number 2, but that was wet conditions. How do you think this dry weather is going to change that?
Well, to some extent I'm tempted to draw upon what we learnt yesterday, but then we've got different drivers in some of the cars around him on the grid, so I still think that car will be strong, at least in the opening lap or so. I think the GT3 battle could be pretty entertaining as well, because remember, it's Pierre Lemmers who is starting the number 6 SP Racing Cologne Audi, not Alexander Croker, who won dominantly in dry conditions yesterday. Well, in the wet this morning, Pierre was only second in class, and was bettered in the end by the pole-sitting Audi. So it's, again, quite difficult to predict this one, but I do think that number 6 SP Racing Cologne Audi is one to watch, particularly in the second half of the race. That much I will say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big difference between race 1 and race 3 when it comes to Peterson, though, is that he wasn't on the front row for race number 1, so he's got that little edge, I suppose, of being alongside the race leader as this gets started. Another car I think we should be keeping an eye on potentially is the XR Racing Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car. The grid sheet this time does say that Paul Hochberger is finally going to get into the car, which we've been fooled by a couple of times this weekend. So hopefully on this occasion it is now accurate. And Paul, a former champion in Porsche single make racing, and a driver that really knows his stuff where it comes to Porsche 911s, in no small part thanks to the fact that he sells them. In fact, he's one of at least two car dealers on the grid, given Ole Petersen also sells cars for a living along with his father. So we'll keep an eye on Paul Hochberger's progress. I do think, in all seriousness, that it's going to be very compelling to see how he matches up to Mike Janza and then to Igor Klaya. There's another X factor in that Cup 2 battle, of course, because Igor Klaya for this race is now joined by Fabian Di Bianca, and Fabian is a real hot shoe. He made his racing debut with us in the GEDLICH Racing Winter Series at the end of 2025. He's already got himself a GT3 seat for later on in the year. He is a really impressive driver.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Cup 2 so evenly matched up to this point. Will that be the thing that maybe tips it in the favour of that car? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that Cup 2 battle was absolutely fascinating in the second race earlier on. There were 3 cars that could have won it, and had it not been for a bit of a mistake seemingly for Igor down at the hairpin, where he just missed his braking zone slightly, was the word I was about to use, but maybe not the right word. He missed the corner by quite some way. He could easily have ended up on the top step in the class. So yeah, expect that scrap to resume. And of course, we've also got the intrigue to see what happens in the GT4 AM category as well. Pit stops, though, I think will definitely have a part to play in this. The timing of the pit stop to some extent is of significance, but there are lots of pit stop regulations that inexperienced drivers perhaps could fall foul of. We see this in Winter Series quite a lot, particularly at the start of the season when everyone's getting used to it. So don't be surprised if we see a couple of messages pop up on the timing screen in the second half of the race.
Yes, per the most recent amendment, I believe it's an 84-second stop here during this one. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on, certainly, in this, to make sure that everybody abides, and then to see how that affects things if they do not. To cover a few bases, we are sadly down to 15 cars for this race. Of course, Hermann Speck found the wall in race number 2. He was completely fine. They believe the car will be completely fine after a small visit to Porsche Spares and Repairs, or I think it's actually a small visit from Porsche Spares and Repairs to them, as we can see the current race, or the race that's just ended, coming in. So in the next 2 or 3 minutes the cars will be released. But yes, Hermann Speck unfortunately not in this race, but we expect to see him in Oschersleben, which is great news. He's excited about this GT Summer Series concept, and we're excited to see how he performs as the season goes on. We didn't really cover it in the stream, but he was on slicks in that race, as he kind of told us. We thought with tongue in cheek, but no, he did do that, Andy.
I genuinely didn't take him seriously when I heard him say that, because he's a character, he's got a sense of humour, and I thought, oh, ha ha ha, very funny. No, he was deadly serious, and of course, part of my brain hadn't calibrated to the fact that since he was in the Heroes Arena, the next port of call was the pre-grid, assembly area, as we would call it in the UK. Then you're on the track, so actually no chance after that point to assess, and that's a bit of a challenge for the teams as well, having to make that decision a little bit further ahead of time than normal. So in lap time, and unfortunately lacking in rear grip as well. But good to hear that the damage to the car is not quite as significant as perhaps we first feared.
And it was remarkable, actually, in the garage after the race, looking at the car. The tyres looked brand new, as in they hadn't lost even a quarter of a layer off. They hadn't even been scrubbed, realistically, because he was having to work so hard just to keep the car in a straight line that he wasn't put any forces through the car, and indeed the tyres, the Pirelli P0s, as it were. A couple of other withdrawals just to tell you about, people that unfortunately we've lost over the course of the weekend. PTT racing teams, Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo took part in qualifying but only managed an outlap. Unfortunately, an engine failure besetting the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo, which means that unfortunately Przemysław Biankowski has gone home early. Matthias Lizowski, of course the pro of that lineup, has stayed on though, and he's now coaching Igor Klaya and Fabian Di Bianca through this race. Of course, we heard from him in the Race 2 broadcast earlier on. Also, BWT Mucko Motorsport with the magnificent sounding club class Aston Martin V8 Vantage GT4, the first generation GT4 car. Well, first generation with an Evo kit, but whatever. Thilo Goss, the owner of the car, just didn't feel comfortable with what was going on underneath him on Friday, and they decided that discretion is the better part of valor, and let's hope that we see BWT Mucko Motorsport out again soon, be it with the Aston Martin or perhaps even with something else, because Thilo owns a few interesting cars. We'll keep an eye on that, and I think that's one of the things that's really interesting about this scene, about the German motorsport scene, is how many interesting, unique cars there are that could come and join us. We'll keep tabs on that, but the cars that we've got right now are with Izzy, so let's go down there.
Well, welcome down to the pre-grid area. I have to say, it suddenly got very, very windy. Certainly may catch some of these drivers out, as Adam and I were talking about earlier, in terms of braking points. So we'll keep an eye on that throughout the race. But just wanted to give you a little bit of a show of the pre-grid. For the final time this weekend, they've just had the 3-minute board. So these cars will be going out very, very shortly. But in all its glory, we wanted to show you our final pre-grid of the weekend here in Hockenheim. The race coming up very, very shortly, and I'm excited to see what we will have in this pit stop race, because of course we have had 2 different winners this weekend. Will we see a third different winner? Well, boys, what do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting race for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing those cars go. 3-minute board is out. I bet that 1-minute board isn't going to go out 2 minutes later because they are behind schedule here. And if there's one thing that crosses the channel, Andy, and then goes over to Germany from the UK, it is noise curfews. Besets any racetrack. And when you've got this situation where, of course, earlier in the day it was quite heavy rain and there were red flags in some of the earlier sessions in the morning races and morning practices, the race direction for the full weekend really do have it pressed against them to make, in some cases, tough decisions. Do we take minutes off this race? How are we managing things? It's quite a logistical challenge.
I don't envy the people who have to make these decisions, most definitely. And yeah, we have trimmed a few minutes off some of the sessions earlier on in the day, which has allowed us to have the full 50 minutes of racing now for our GT Summer Series final race of the weekend. So really top job by the people up in race control here at the Hockenheimring to make sure that we get the full distance in this third and final race of the weekend, which is imminent. The car's released now from the pre-grid and out onto a dry circuit, mercifully, and we will wait and see what exactly is going to unfold over the next 50 minutes or so. So many fascinating storylines. I think the opening few laps are going to be quite lively, really. I don't think there's, in the dry, an awful lot to choose between Thomas Verstappen and Pierre Lemmers, for example. Matt Rosner made a good start earlier on today. He starts on that second row. Gregor Drasel hasn't yet had a trouble-free race, has he? Didn't get into race one, really, having to bring the car in with clutch issues. Had a spin earlier on this morning, early on, when we sort of expected him to be a factor. So a couple of drivers looking to try and make something of the weekend, and others who know they've got the potential to win this race will understand the significance of making a good start and trying to assert dominance.
Yeah, absolutely. And even at this early stage, of course, we talk about it in the Winter Series, you know, even at the first event, points considering the full season. And I guess it's even more kind of strategically challenging in a way here because there's these long gulfs. You know, we're talking about the championship in the Winter Series in this compact 7-8 week window of time, but they've got to consider here, yes, there are only 5 events, but where are we going to be in October when we come back here to Hockenheim again? And certainly I think of all the drivers that have to do some salvaging, shall we say, Gregor Drasel from P5. We'll keep an eye on him because he's had a fairly rough go of it so far. I believe we're only going to do one formation lap, so let's run through the grid here. Thomas Verstappen starting this one from pole position in the number 45 Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. Ole Peterson alongside him when we go 2x2 in the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo car. It will be faster to the corner at turn 1. Will it still be ahead, or will it get ahead in time for the first corner? And Matt Rosner, as we just alluded to, starting from 3rd position in the Ferrari 296 Challenge car that's often attributed to being a bit of a missile in a straight line. That certainly hasn't changed here. Pierre Lemmers in 4th position in the Audi, the SP Racing clone car, in its incredibly distinct livery. Gregor Drasel from 5th position, another one that's a commentator's friend, being bright pink. A couple of really useful liveries on those terms here. Paul Hochberger next in 6th position. Then Mike Janza in 7th place in the number 3 car from SA Performance, the Liechtensteiner team. That's their Swiss driver. Igor Klaya alongside, set to hand over to young Fabian Di Bianca a bit later in the race. Then it's all Cup X, row number 5. Cup X, in this case, for cars that have been slightly detuned for drivers with national licenses. That is going to be and Franz Binder, then Tobias Erdmann and Johnny Pedersen 11th and 12th places, Daniel Reiter 13th, Alexander Danza 14th, and at the back of the field we are having Bertold Grun starting in the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. He drives that car solo. Can he make up some places in the early going? So 2x2 formation, Noah's Ark formation at this stage. What's going to happen next? We've had 2 interesting races so far in the GT Summer Series sprints. How does it all shake up the form book then when we have a pit stop in the middle and potentially some driver changes to which lineup we're looking at? We're about to find out. 50 minutes of racing, the first ever GT Summer Series pit stop race is go, and it's the V10 song at the front of the field, but will it be Lamborghini or Audi leading into the first corner? It's Verstappen into the early lead. Peterson couldn't quite get far enough as per usual. Cars going 2-3 wide and indeed off the circuit. Still in the GT4 lead looks to be Tobias Erdmann, and Tobias Erdmann leading the GT4s in the Audi. Daniel Reiter not far behind.
Yep, good clean start and pretty elbows out run through the first corner. Speaking of, Igor Klyer there nearly into the side of Gregor Drassel as they came through turn 4. They have survived that just about, but Gregor Drassel, I think, was perilously close to being knocked out wide onto the grass there as he battled with the Cup 2 front runner. At the head of the field, though, Verstappen leads the way. It's pretty much grid order, isn't it, really, across the top half dozen or so. Drassel wide at the hairpin and does now allow Igor Klyer to go by. Crucial, though, I think, that Thomas Verstappen has kept Ole Peterson at bay through the first half of the lap and now needs to try and get his head down and get away from that rapid Lamborghini if possible.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's see whether Verstappen can set about building a gap. He's going to want to, of course, for numerous reasons, one of which will be that Pierre Lemmers is handing over, of course, to Alex Croker later on in the race, but also just to give himself a bit of a buffer, a bit of breathing room here. And I'm noting what could be the resumption of a battle, because don't forget, Ole Peterson and Matt Rosner had a really entertaining start to race number 1. They were dicing together for what was an overall podium position in that race, and I think we're going to do it again here, potentially, with Pierre Lemmers looking to get involved as well.
Igor Klyer very wide there through the penultimate corner, but yes, you're absolutely right. It seems that now in the dry conditions, Peterson doesn't necessarily have the pace to go after Thomas Verstappen out in front. Interestingly, yesterday Ole was a little bit tentative on cold tyres, and yet in the wet, where you have less grip, he seemed full of confidence, didn't he? So maybe just not quite extracting the maximum mechanical grip of the Lamborghini. Should get quicker as the laps go by. In Cup 2, Paul Hochberger is leading from Igor Klyer, who goes wide at turn 2 and opens the door again for Gregor Drassel. He might now lose second place in Cup 2, because that is Mike Janser, the grey, red and black Porsche. He is also running in the Cup 2 category, and will have a good opportunity here to put some pressure on Igor Klyer towards the hairpin. This is where Klyer got it all wrong in the wet in race 2, makes the apex this time, but is definitely having to drive in the mirrors a bit. Look, runs wide on the exit. Janser gets up the inside. There's a little bit of paint traded on the exit of the corner. That could have been disaster. And Janser, I think, says, okay, you keep the place for now.
Yeah, maybe just wait a couple of corners for that to cool down, and then we'll go again. While we're on the subject of Porsches, W&S Motorsport sadly have not taken the start. You might recall they weren't in the Heroes arena. They were facing battery issues, and they were struggling to get the car started. It has not taken the start of race number 3. Of course, they could wheel the car out if they do get it fired up, but they will now be at least a lap down, 2 laps down in just a few moments. Igor Klyer still driving through the mirrors then. This is all brilliant for Paul Hochberger, who's building a lead at the front of the number 911 car. Meanwhile, Igor Klyer, I think, has spent a lot of this weekend looking in the mirrors, and with just cause, because look at the shapes being thrown by his adversaries. Oh, very, very wide again from Igor Klyer. I don't quite know how much he can get away with that. Janser has a good run, though, out of the final corner. They head towards the sud curve, the first corner of the lap, and they're not quite side by side, but if the number 3 gets a good run, and I'd say that it has, we could be on for a move here at turn 2.
Yeah, and Klyer's been struggling seemingly at turn 2 in this race. He might be a bit circumspect under braking. Oh, they make contact again as they turn into turn 2. Janser was already committed to the inside line, and it's almost as if Igor Klyer didn't expect him to be there. That was a little bit odd, and Janser manages to wriggle his way through. Thank goodness, he thinks, because that was 2 altercations with Igor Klyer in just under a lap.
You see, this is why we couldn't be race control, because I saw it the other way. Yeah. I thought that Janser was doing quite a good job of using his car as a weapon there, going towards turn 2, but we both saw that a different way. So then the number 3 and the number 77 line astern, but now with the positions swapped. It's been a bit of a hokey-cokey so far. Let's see if they change places again in just a few moments. Klyer late on the brakes into the arena there. Certainly he still has aspirations of getting that second position back, and I think Urs Frick just behind them in the Cup X leading 992 Cup car. Oh, Peterson! Ole Peterson is slow. He has got some drive, perhaps, but clearly that car is ailing, and he will drop out of second position.
Well, that is heartbreak, isn't it, for Ole Peterson, who was sort of matching the times more or less of the race leader Thomas Verstappen. I thought maybe would be able to mount a bit of a challenge, but now looks as though he might not see the checkered flag. Is he going to be able to get that car back to the pit lane? That's the next question, isn't it? That's of some relevance in the larger context of the race. Or will it need to be recovered from the side of the track? This, of course, now gives Thomas Verstappen a decent lead over Matt Rosner in the Cup 1 Ferrari. 5.6 seconds the margin out in front, with Pierre Lemmers in third. I'm keeping one close eye on that number 6 Audi, though, because we know how quick Alexander Croker was in that car. No one could touch him, really, pace-wise in that first race yesterday. If Pierre can keep that car in touch in stint number 1, there's no reason why Croker can't then mount a comeback in the second part of the race, especially if we do get a little safety car interruption.
Yeah, absolutely. So, unfortunately, with Peterson slowing, that takes one car out of proceedings, and a car that we potentially thought would be on for an overall podium. Can Matt Rosner now take that clean air and maybe try and start to match Thomas Verstappen for pace? I think that's bold. If anything, I think he's going to be driving through the mirrors increasingly, because there was only 1.2 seconds between himself and Lemmers at the line. But actually, with the eyeball test, Lemmers has to worry about Ryan Hochberger behind, who really is putting on a great show here. He's well, he was, what, 6/10 away as they came across the line, and I think it's about the same as they turn into the stadium section. But for Ole Peterson, he's had a great weekend as a whole, of course, on the podium yesterday and winning overall in race 2 this morning, but a sore way to end. He said to me down on the Heroes Arena that he felt he still needed some more mileage. They'll try and get him back out there, I'm sure. He really wants to get his head around this car and this track, but unfortunately he will not be a competitive proposition for the rest of the race.
No, that is a shame, but at least the car did make it back to the pit lane. It went into limp home mode, I think, rather, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which at least gave him enough power to drag it back to the pits, to the attention of the team, increasing his chances of getting out there perhaps for some more laps, and decreasing, in fact eradicating the chances at the moment at least, of a safety car period, which means this battle that's starting to bubble away for second position can really start to kick into high gear now. Matt Rosner on the previous lap was slower than the 2 cars behind him. That's the Ferrari, about 2 to 3 tenths slower than these 2 cars, the Audi of Pierre Lemmers and the Porsche Cup 2 car of Paul Hochberger. There is Ole Peterson while he's getting out of the car and the helmet's coming off. That suggests he's done, and has he not made it back to the garage?
I was going to say he's about 25 garages away from where he is situated as well, so no, I think that car really has cried enough, at least for today. We've talked about BOP earlier on in the broadcast, of course, with Robin Selbach and Marcus Giedlich. That was in reference to the GT3 and GT4 classes. I want to make it plain for any first-time viewers. We haven't balanced this challenge car, this cup car, and this GT3 together. It's just working out this way, and that's something we've seen before in the Winter Series, something we see now here in the Summer Series as well. Yes, we have different classes out there, but for whatever reason, it often seems that there's unusual convergences.
Indeed so. Something we're not seeing for the first time this weekend, though, is time penalties for incorrect grid positions. Once again, as we had yesterday, 4 drivers pinged for this, and one of them, perhaps most notably, is Gregor Drasel in the number 9, so he was out of position at the start. So was Bernd Scheibel in the number 27 Audi, 42 and 44 as well, Franz Binder and Daniel Reiter. They will all have 10-second time penalties to be added.
And we could actually see it going into the stadium section on the formation lap, that there was a lot of uncertainty of where to go, and the reason was because the number 30 Porsche was on the grid sheet, so you're strictly supposed to abide by what the grid sheet tells you rather than swallowing up a position. So that's where that's come from, with the W&S car sadly not able to take the start. The last few cars on the grid have got themselves a bit muddled up.
yes, although how Gregor Drasel ended up getting involved in all of that, I don't know. He should have been well ahead of that, shouldn't he?
Yes, I tried to absolve him there, and then you've put him back in it.
Sorry, Gregor. It's me off the Christmas card list. Yes, anyway, Gregor has picked up a penalty as well, and that's a shame because I've said at the start of this race that he hadn't really had a clean, trouble-free race so far. This one also now won't be trouble-free, and he was just about to insert himself into this battle for second place. He still will, I suppose, even if on corrected times he will drop 10 seconds behind them. But he is closing very much in on that group of cars ahead. Spin there for the 55 car, isn't it? Yes, that's gone around. That is Johnny Pedersen in the Race Lab Porsche. That was up at the hairpin, was it, or turn 2?
That was turn 2.
Turn 2, yes, thought so. So that car with a rotation. Did spot that two of the other Cup 2 Porsches, Mike Janser and Igor Klyer, they were as close together as ever they have been on the last camera shot before that. So that all Porsche scrap is about to ignite once more.
Interesting. So they're just behind this pack of 4 at the moment. The second place battle in Cup 2, well picked up there by, I think that's camera op Mike and also our director Rob, the Alpha Live team that we're so familiar with from the Winter Series, joining us for this Summer Series opening event at least. And we're delighted to usher in this new era along with them. Maybe not quite the closest they've ever been, Andy, but yes, Igor Klyer is lurking still, lurking with intent.
I will argue that the gap grew by a Porsche length or so since I last saw them. But yes, at the line, the record books will show that actually the gap went back out. I wonder whether maybe Mike Janser had a mistake somewhere at the start of the previous lap and then has started to up the pace once more. So yeah, stretches the margin back out again to Klyer. Up the road, though, the Cup 2 leader, I think, has just lost a position, has he? Yes, yeah. Gregor Drasel there, look, in the pink Lamborghini, is up ahead of the Cup 2 leading Porsche of Paul Huschberger. So Drasel may have this 10-second penalty looming over him, but he's got really good pace.
Yeah, exactly right. Drasel, I've known coming into this weekend that he'd be a factor if he could just get a clean race in, and the clutch issues in qualifying, then becoming the brake issues in race 1 that meant he couldn't take the start, the spin in race 2 this morning. He's not had a clean run of it at any point, and now that he is here and he is got the car underneath him, interestingly and sure enough, he's lurking behind Pierre Lemmers. He's got more pace, I would say, than Pierre Lemmers. Let's see what he can do now as they come through the final corner. I'm not so certain that third overall is going to stay with the green Audi for too much longer here. The Leipart prepared Lamborghini looks to the inside, but he was too far back, and frankly, he's cost himself maybe 3/4 of a second there.
He did that in race 2 at one point, I seem to remember. Turn 1 is not really an overtaking opportunity, certainly not in relatively high downforce cars such as these. What you really want to do is focus on the exit from 1 to then lunge up the inside into turn 2. Gregor sort of went for that a little bit too early, didn't he? And now isn't close enough, not only into turn 2, but also down into the hairpin to attack.
I dare suggest we're making it sound a little too easy, but yes, I do appreciate what we've both said there, the points we've both made. You're more valid than me, you do iRacing, I do Gran Turismo. There is a hierarchy to this stuff. Verstappen in the race lead then by 11.8 seconds at the line. Matt Rosner again kind of on his own island at the moment, as he has been often in second place. This, therefore, is the battle for third, as we see Igor Klyer just stepping out a little bit, and Fabien de Bianca will be tapping his foot a little bit, watching that car get leery and lurid, and said, I would like some Pirelli P0 for my stint, if you don't mind awfully.
Yes, one of the really interesting dynamics of two-driver races, isn't it? Where the second driver has to sort of take over from the first. Interesting interview actually with Alexander Croker in the Heroes Arena before the race, where he was chatting, I think, to Izzy, and they were talking about the order in which they were going. Lemmers doing the first stint, Alexander Croker the second stint, and Alexander said, yes, well, it's easier for us to take pressure out of the tyres after Pierre presumably has used quite a bit of them, and that makes his stint a bit easier. Lemmers turns into Gregor Drasel at turn 1, and all of a sudden Alexander Croker realises he won't get a stint in this race after all. There's damage to the right rear corner of the Audi that won yesterday afternoon, and unfortunately is out of race number 3 here at the Hockenheimring. Gregor Drasel's car continues, hopefully relatively undamaged, Well, Gregor sort of had a dress rehearsal of that move a lap ago. He was further alongside that time, but I think maybe Pierre was expecting him to back out as he had done a lap earlier.
Call it delusion, call it hope, but I'm not convinced that Lemmers is fully out of the race. I don't know whether he'll be able to select reverse and keep going. It was a pretty hefty impact, I grant you, but it really depends what the impact damaged, if anything. The fact that the car is still there, though, rather points to you being correct. If it was as simple as selecting reverse, I think you would have already done so. And that's going to throw a lot of things into the air as we watch Drassel again massively late on the brakes there in at the number 9 car. And T1 incident is already under investigation, to the shock of nobody. The question now is going to be, when safety car? Now safety car. It comes up exactly as I start to think it. And sure enough, they have deployed that safety car now, which means that Thomas Vestarp's work is for naught. And that also will most likely mean the pit window will be pushed back as well. And that is going to hinder a few things.
Yes, and ironically, the driver who I said sort of wanted to see a safety car in the first part of the race was Alexander Croker, because if he could jump into that number 6 Audi within 5 or 6 seconds of the lead, he would have a real chance of taking the lead. But yeah, I had a feeling as the car was spinning, the right rear wheel was showing quite a lot of camber that I don't think was intentional. I think that had sustained a fair bit of suspension damage in the spin, and that will possibly have broken a drive shaft as well, meaning the car has no drive, so no way even just to drag the car to a slightly safer position, and that does mean the marshals have to spring into action.
See, we now have a situation where I think Rosner is abiding by Code 60 rules. I think he's got the pit limiter on, hence the emergency lights are on the car. So I think Maurizio Cerasoli is going to say to him, no, you can speed up to get to the safety car, but just got to make sure you don't overtake anybody. But certainly that car's on its pit limiter right now, which means it won't catch up to the safety car anytime soon. We're going to get a replay then of what happened here into the first corner. Andy, my first instinct was beyond low percentage.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because Gregor, as I said, sort of sized this up a lap ago and then backed out of it. So Pierre Lemmers would have maybe been expecting the same thing. It didn't happen.
Oh, yes,
that
okay.
right rear corner, not quite in factory specification anymore, is it? And it was a fair whack, to be honest, there into that first turn. It's so difficult to go through there side by side, which is why I sort of said you don't see a lot of overtaking done there. Gregor, in fairness, was more committed that time, but the precedent had already been set, hadn't it, the lap previous, and unfortunately contact made. Drassel has continued on. I'm sure they'll check the car over during the pit window when we get there, but I'd be surprised if he didn't have at least a little bit of misaligned steering wheel maybe after that. It was a hefty whack on the left front corner, and Lamborghini GT3 cars are not necessarily designed to survive those hits absolutely drama-free. They're strong cars. A modern-day GT3 car has to be, because of just how competitive the racing is and just how flat-out even endurance GT racing is these days. You have to be able to hammer the curbs and be really aggressive on the brakes. So they're reasonably strong, actually. I can hardly see a scratch on it.
No, agreed. I don't think there's terribly much wrong with that car, rather remarkably. Yes, on second viewing, it was very, very clear indeed that Pierre was going no further. In my defence, first viewing, I was trying to watch if Gregor was also going to spin, so I missed a little bit of that. But yes, there is some damage on the wheel arch of the Leipard Lamborghini, but all told, that's about as good as one could expect from that. Of course, as the Porsches of Igor Glyer and Mike Janza get a little bit too close for comfort.
Did I just spot Pierre Lemmers sort of gesticulating at the track as Gregor Drassel came by? He was certainly walking towards the track, and maybe not in the direction the marshals wanted him to walk in at that moment, and was glaring, I would assume, at the pink Lamborghini as it came by.
Yeah, no, a little bit NASCAR Bristol, isn't it? Throwing gloves at people and things like that.
His helmet's still on his head, though, and wasn't lobbed at the front of the Lamborghini, at least.
We're not Tony Stewarting yet. 30 minutes and 55 seconds of this race left to go, so the pit window would have been open effectively this time by when the safety car comes through, but by my understanding, we're not going to open the window until such time as the safety car has released the field and they've done one full lap under green flag conditions. That rule, I think, has carried over from the Winter Series per the last version of that I read, but maybe that isn't the most recent. We'll wait for the timing screen to tell us for certain. Referred to the stewards is Gregor Drassel for causing a collision. I'm not overwhelmingly surprised to hear that. Incidentally, worth noting, the entire field was still on the lead lap at the time the safety car came out, so everyone is going to bunch together. Now, who does that benefit? It benefits the 77 car, certainly, because Igor Klei will hand over to young Fabian Di Bianca and he will be determined, he will be quick. That also really does benefit the number 55, Johnny Pedersen, will hand over to numerous championship winner in Denmark and ex-champ car racer in the United States, Ronnie Bremer. And so Ronnie will be, I think, relishing the fact that potentially he can go hunting.
So what you're saying is Cup 2 is once again going to provide us quite an interesting second half of the race. I did spot what I think you've just spotted, the two red and largely red and black Audis at the front of the queue. That suggests that Berthold Grun had just been lapped by Thomas Verstappen before the safety car came out. That's a shame for Berthold, who is in a podium position at least in class, so might well be collecting some silverware in 40 minutes or so from the podium in the Heroes Arena, but sadly his time on the lead lap has come to an end, and that could provide a bit of a headache for Matt Rosner, Hochberger, Gregor Drausel, those queued up behind upon the restart, because you can't overtake before the timing line, even if the car ahead of you is a lap down, and even if the car ahead of you maybe doesn't accelerate quite as quickly as you'd like them to. That's something that Thomas Verstappen should, if he's smart here, be able to use to his advantage.
Yeah, absolutely right. So let's see how that plays out. The Audi is making its way onto the ADAC branded flatbed at the moment, and I should probably do this, actually. I will thank Pierre Lemmers for the fact that he's effectively kept me alive at times this weekend. I've, for whatever reason, not adapted to the bed in the hotel particularly well. The company on the side of his car, Effect, is an energy drink brand, and he's been liberally dishing them out to me, and I think that might be why I'm currently still awake. As amazing as this race has been so far, sleep is lacking.
I thought you seemed even higher energy than normal, Adam.
Oh gosh, really?
Now there's an explanation to that. Pit window is open.
Interesting. Okay, that shifts things again then. I was under the impression, the last thing that I saw, that we weren't going to do pit window during a safety car, but no, we are doing that in the summer series, and Ronnie Bremer already in. Now, I don't think that Pedersen had made it all the way around the circuit at the time the window came to be, so I think actually he might just be okay with that. The window must have been open for, what, 2.5 minutes at this juncture. When did the pit window open? It's not a bulletin on my bulletin board, annoyingly. That would be extremely helpful. 15:55, yes, so it opened as scheduled with 30 minutes to go, so that should be a legal pit stop, but I think actually at this point it's a fairly long pit stop, is it not? Because Johnny Pedersen's car has gone a lap down. Indeed, I can hear Ronnie Bremer driving off now as we see the race leader Tommy Verstappen in. The pit stop was 93 seconds and 84 is the time. So yes, it was long, but I think unfortunately Ronnie Bremer would have been trapped a lap down either way there.
Yeah, I don't think he caught up to the safety car queue before pitting, did he? That's where the track position, he's lost more track position than we expected maybe. Yes. He never did regain any of it. We now have a slightly odd situation in that Berthold Grun is at the front of the safety car queue, but is not the race leader. Matt Rosner inherits the race lead. Interesting then that Verstappen pitted and nobody else did, so it seems that maybe a few of the teams are hedging their bets a little bit on this. Out goes Verstappen, and this should be advantage to the CCS Racing team because they've got the pit stop done. They'll coast up to the back of the safety car line, and presumably everyone else will then head in this time by. Okay, a bulletin just came up that makes me feel a little bit more sane.
pit stops allowed under safety car due to error in race control communication. So I think not everyone upstairs was on the same page. And I think that the page that I read a couple of weeks ago was accurate, that under normal circumstances we wouldn't be opening the window under safety car. And I think what they'll do now, especially since the lights are still on as we go through the stadium section, they're going to do one more lap behind safety car, principally to make sure that everyone else also has the opportunity to take advantage of the fact we are stopping under safety cars here.
Exactly so, and quite possibly we needed this extra lap anyway, because I think they were still getting the recovery vehicle out of the way. So now the floodgates open, Matt Rosner comes in, and I'd be surprised if any other lead lap car stays out. Yeah, well, that's not a lead lap car, is it? Of course, that's the Ronnie Bremer Porsche, which gets back onto the lead lap. Will we have a wave around? Question mark. We'll get an answer to that shortly. The GT4 AM leader does stay out, though, intriguingly. Ben Scheibel in the Audi R8 goes through for another lap.
Yes, that is interesting, isn't it? That might hand things over to Reiter Racing to quite a significant extent in the GT4 category. There is the number 77 then being serviced, and Igor Klyer making way now for Fabian Di Bianca. The 4F backed PTT entry, sadly the sole PTT entry remaining, but that just means that all the eggs are in one basket. All the crew members have been jumping at the opportunity to do a job in the PTT camp, and they're now all putting their force behind that car, and certainly Fabian Di Bianca really well rated by the PT team. I remember Martin, the team manager, coming up to me at, I think it was Aragon in 2025 in the Wind Series, and he said, "You wait until we see who we've got in the car next week." And I'm thinking to myself, who then? Gerhard Berger, John Alesi? I don't know why the 1995 Ferrari lineup comes to mind. And he goes, no, this kid, teenager, barely old enough to reach the pedals, but he is quick. And sure enough, he has proven so in his just over a year of GT racing so far.
Looking forward to seeing what he can do here then. Safety car in this lap we're seeing, so there isn't going to be a wave around. We'll have potentially a couple of lap down cars bailing for the pit lane here, and one of them at least. As the safety car comes in. Will the rest of them catch it, though? Not all of them, because we saw there the likes of Gregor Drausel, for example, only just getting out of the pit lane. In fact, I'm not even convinced that our car that was leading earlier on in the hands of Thomas Verstappen has caught up. No, it hasn't. So, slightly interesting situation here.
He will effectively have caught up by the time the car peels off, because he was just turning into the arena section as these guys were heading into the stadium. So I think that we should see the Verstappen car effectively catching up, and they will have a decent advantage here. And it's going to be Ronnie Bremer all on his own. Ronnie, floor it, my friend. You've got an opportunity to try and stay on the lead lap here, and Ronnie does so absolutely. A former race winner in the Toyota Atlantics going back many years, but there you see that he's only barely on the lead lap, less than a main straight between himself and Thomas Verstappen. And well, I've seen Ronnie Bremer do some special things before. He's a race winner in the GT Winter Series, and he did so with a KTM GT2 up against GT3 cars. Let's see what he can do with a Cup 2 Porsche.
Into the pit lane, meanwhile, does now come the GT4 AM Audi. And Bernd Scheibel then will conduct the driver change, and the rear window pops open on the car as it arrives in the pit box. That's in the picture-in-picture on the main screen. We do not have the race leader. This car had pitted, remember, just before everybody else, but a couple of slightly complicated reasons didn't end up catching up to the back of the queue. So the actual race leader is Thomas Verstappen, the Audi, not far behind the Porsche on the track. We hold this shot just for a few seconds. We will eventually, don't prove me wrong, there we go, see Thomas Verstappen come through. That's your race leader, and the CCS Racing Team driver does have a sizable advantage, as we anticipated, because he anticipated the pit stop safety car timing better than anyone else.
Absolutely right, and Matt Rosner has lost out in a big way ultimately, because he is some 35 seconds behind this Audi as of the start-finish line. So Thomas Verstappen has gained himself quite a significant advantage. The Cup 2 drivers have found each other again, and what a dive there from Mike Janza, trying to hold on there up against Fabian Di Bianca. And I don't think you need to ask Fabian to take advantage of a three-car length 6-car length advantage more than once. Jansa was very ambitious there, and I rate that ambition, but unfortunately with that error, I think Di Bianca might be not home free, but certainly untroubled for the next little while.
Yes, so that's Di Bianca to the lead of the class then, because Marco Reinbold is behind them, so he's lost time in the pit cycle. Remember, he was leading in Cup 2, the silver and black Porsche was leading Cup 2 before the pit stop, so it's completely turned around. The Fabian Di Bianca car that was in the hands of Igor Klyer, that was third. It now leads. The car that did lead there is now third, and Mike Jansa's thinking, well, I haven't gained or lost anything out of this. I'm still in second place, and that's perhaps why he was so desperate to find a way past Di Bianca there, but, or in fact, keep Di Bianca behind, I should say, but was unable ultimately to do it. So Fabian Di Bianca then takes over the Cup 2 lead, and I think now might just have the pace to build a bit of a lead.
Yeah, absolutely right. Everybody with legal pit stops from a stopwatch perspective, which is great news. What is not such good news is that Berthold Grun has been in the pits now for 2 minutes and 48 seconds. So I think that Berthold might be having something of an issue out there on the pit apron at the moment, or maybe even in the garage, but that car may not be going any further, unfortunately. Fastest pit stop of all was Leipart Motorsport GmbH with, of course, Gregor Drassel, and that was at 1 minute 24.8, so within 8/10 of the target of 84 seconds, but quite a few of the teams doing high 120s, low 130s, so a few have lost a bit of time, left some time on the table in that regard.
Yes, and again, first pit stop race of the season, first time getting used to these specific pit stop regulations for most of the teams. Not a huge surprise that a few of them maybe played that a little bit on the safe side, just to try and make sure that they didn't pick up a penalty. There's your leader. The battle I think that's perhaps about to start bubbling away is the one for second place, though. Gregor Drassel has this 10-second penalty hovering over him, remember, for the out-of-position start, but he is quicker than Matt Rosner in the Cup 1 Ferrari. 2.6 seconds separated them at the start of the lap. That, I think, might be where we need to turn our attention to if Gregor can keep that pace advantage going. We'll see. So as they head down into the hairpin, so Gregor Drassel then, as I said, starting to creep up behind Rose. So there they are. The Lamborghini, yes, on the previous lap, 1.1 seconds quicker, so he is keeping that pace advantage going.
Yeah, so there is that spectre overhead, isn't there, as to how we got that safety car and whether or not that might end up getting punished. So we'll wait and see, but for now this is certainly going to be a battle for P2, and you know what? Fabian Di Bianca is 7 seconds away from the back of that Lamborghini right now. He was actually 2/10 slower on the previous lap, but let's see how he beds in as the stint goes on. He might be able to knock on the door of some 141s.
And don't forget, Drassel has the 10-second penalty as well. So actually, Di Bianca is within 10 seconds, possibly within 5 now after that moment for Drassel. So he's already on course to potentially inherit an overall podium, is Di Bianca. Might be able to climb a step or two further up it. That's fascinating to see. Gregor Drassel, though, not driving like a man who has potentially 2 penalties heading his way by the end of the race. He's quite keen to claim another scalp here and make a move against Matt Rosner in the Cup 1 Spec Ferrari. There in the background, caught a glimpse of the PTT Racing Team Porsche, which, yes, on the previous lap did that car's personal best lap of the race, 142.426. That was matching more or less Drassel, but it was again a second nearly faster than Matt Rosner. So what Di Bianca is hoping for is that Rosner puts up a spirited defence here to keep Drassel at bay, and that might just allow him to close in quickly enough to get past both of them on the track. He did, though, Di Bianca, also pick up his first track limits infringement last time by perhaps explaining partially where that lap time's coming from.
Oh, you are a stickler for the details, Mr. McEwen. All these drivers under a microscope right now. Rosner then in that second position for now. Correction, no time penalty to car number 44. So Franz Binder has been absolved of being in the wrong position as the race got started. So that's a little bit of a boost for him, especially, of course, since he is here trying to convert his national license into an international license with the right bevy of signatures from race control. He's not actually sure quite what he's going to do after this. He's enjoying this GT racing lark is Franz Binder. It's his first time racing since 2009 this weekend, when he did a one-off cameo in GT Masters. His previous race weekend before that was in 1993 in a Formula 3 car. So it's been a bit gappy, his racing career, over the last 33 years or so. But Franz Binder looking to go back to an international license, and that is because he has a Formula Renault 3.5 V8 single-seater waiting for him to go and do some racing in that with an international license. Whether the GT comes out too, we'll have to wait and see.
Gregor Drassel thinking about a move there into the stadium section, spooks Matt Rosner slightly, and he misses the apex now. In a couple of corners' time, we'll be arriving at turn 1, and we know that Gregor Drassel doesn't mind going for it up the inside into the first corner. He's definitely going to be close enough to think about a repeat of the manoeuvre that went oh so badly wrong earlier on in the race. Although I say that, he didn't get a great exit from the corner, so Matt Rosner can breathe a sigh of relief in that regard. No doubt about it, though, Drassel is quicker, and also no doubt about the fact they're holding each other up. They were both in the low to mid 144s that time. It was a 42.9 for Fabian Di Bianca in the background, who continues to gain on them. Now only about 5 seconds adrift of this battle. And so Di Bianca, again, the longer these two battle, the more chance he's got of actually finding a way past both of them on the track.
Yeah, 5 down from 8, 2 laps ago. So another 2 laps of this, and he'll be right there with them, about a second back potentially. So Ronnie Bremer, we alluded to him potentially being a factor in this Cup 2 battle as well, but again, the dropping a lap there during that safety car period has slightly cost the race lap crew, of which Ronnie Bremer is the captain of the ship. He runs the team. They also have car automotive wing of their business as well. But really enjoying getting the race team back out there with us in GEDLICH. It's been a couple of years. Unfortunately, though, he's away off the rest of Cup 2, so don't expect him to be too much of a factor there. Gregor Drassel could be a factor at any given apex for Matt Rosner at the moment, and I think that's something that unfortunately Matthew is all too aware of.
Yes, I'm not sure he's enjoying the presence of that luridly liveried pink Lamborghini in his mirrors. There's no way you'll miss that car in your mirrors, is there? And actually, oh, Drassel to the inside of the penultimate corner, and then nearly does loop it on corner exit, and I think he's going to now have to make an involuntary pit stop. He's in the pit entry. Ooh, this is going to be a dicey rejoin. Through goes Di Bianca, and Gregor Drassel's weekend of woe continues. He falls out of the podium battle. He should have the pace, in fairness, to start closing back in on the cars ahead, or at least back in on Matt Rosner. But that's what comes from having a lunge into a corner we don't typically see a lot of overtaking at.
Yes, see gap, take gap appears to be Gregor Drassel's moves here. The incident at turn 16 is under investigation, but I think that's just a matter of procedure. I think that was really self-inflicted from Drassel, more so than anything. We just saw there Tobias Erdmann going through shot. He's lost 10th overall to Ronnie Bremer on the previous lap, and in fact Bremer is with Finn Zulauf at the moment, who now leads the GT4 class. There they are together on circuit. A nice Porsche press photo in the offing here. But yeah, Finn Zulauf, who is a guidance coach for Daniel Reiter this weekend, getting an opportunity to hop in the car for this race, and currently leading the GT4 class. Ronnie Bremer should make short work of him.
Yeah, much better exit from the final corner, and he'll have the position taken by the time they reach turn 1. The extra power of the Porsche Cup car making that a bit of a non-contest, so through he goes. Next target, Franz Binder in the Cup X Lippert Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan, which is, I don't think, that far up the road. No, 5 seconds give or take for the Porsche driver to try and bridge in order to gain another position in the overall running order. Had they been able to make better use of that safety car period, I think this would have definitely been a car contending for Cup 2 podium, possibly win, but certainly would have had the pace to finish either second or third in the class, I think. But that ultimately not likely to happen now, unless we get a late race incident and safety car again. We are still 11 minutes and 20 seconds away from the end of the race, so there's time, should anything happen, for things to turn on their head slightly. But yeah, Ronnie Bremer at the very least setting some good lap times and gaining a few places on the overall running order.
Gap between Matt Rosner and Fabian Di Bianca was 2.6 seconds at the line, and there was 1.6 between them in terms of lap time last time by. Di Bianca reeling in Matt Rosner. That's going to be a very close battle in about another tour of the Hockenheimring, and there's still 10 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. There's our 5th overall car, Mike Janza. He runs 2nd in Cup 2, and while we are getting our ducks in a row briefly, with Drassel no longer on the back of Rosner, let's just cover that Verstappen is, of course, still leading the race overall, 41 seconds clear, in part thanks to the safety car cycle with the pit stop window and how that all played out. But he's in a comfortable race lead. Leading Cup 1, a class of 1, is Matt Rosner in 2nd position, the number 24 car. He's followed by Fabian Di Bianca, who is running away at the moment with Cup 2. 2nd in Cup 2, 5th overall is that car, the number 69 we're just looking at, Mike Janza. Gregor Drassel runs 4th overall, of course, in that Lamborghini. P6 is Marco Reinbold, 3rd in class. And then your Cup X leader is Urs Frick in a Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car. And just to cover that again, if you're just joining us, you'll be going, so why are there some Cup cars in one class, some in another? Urs Frick's car is running with, I think, about 40 kilos of ballast and a restrictor that gives it about 50 brake horsepower less than usual. That is not the car we're seeing on screen there. That's Ronnie Bremer. But as a result of that, they are putting the cars into Cup X, and that's also the case for Franz Binder. So even though there is a class for Super Trofeos and there is a class for Porsche Cup, since they are national license holders here in Germany, you're not allowed to have a car with more than 3 kilos per horsepower until you can prove that you are driving to an international standard.
Well explained, thank you. I think I just about followed that. Urs Frick also inherited Franz Binder's 10-second out of position start penalty. I think they realised they'd got the wrong car, and so that was immediately swapped over to Urs Frick. The Cup X leader won't cost him at the moment, though, the class win as it stands. So 9 minutes to go, and 2nd position perhaps up for grabs here for Fabian Di Bianca. It's been a battling weekend for his teammate Igor Klyer, but Di Bianca has just set the timing sheet to light in Cup 2. He might be able to make a way past the Ferrari here. He's certainly been closing at a rate of knots. As Adam said, 2.5 or more per lap gained on average. But again, he will want to get this move made quickly, because look who's starting to range back up behind them. Gregor Drassel in the slightly battered and bruised Lamborghini is starting to gain time on this battling pair.
I can see the Raging Bull limbering up in the back of some of these shots. So yes, Fabian Di Bianca needs to get on with this. He has a look to turn 16, eerily similar there to what Gregor did a couple of laps ago. He's going to try for a good run here out of the final corner, which he definitely gets, but the Ferrari will have, no pun intended, the horses down the main straight going into the first corner. And this is a very frustrating situation for Di Bianca. It's the classic thing. The Porsche may be a bit quicker in the corners, but the Ferrari with that straight line speed advantage. For example, please see turn 4, which we're about to exit now.
Yes, this is where the Ferrari should be able to gap Di Bianca ever so slightly. For reference, Drassel on the previous lap was a second quicker than Di Bianca, and nearly 2 seconds, about 1.7 seconds quicker than Matt Rosner, just to add to the frustration being felt by Fabian Di Bianca right now. Look at the gap. That has doubled at least in the length of the Parabolica curve there, and by the time they reach the braking zone into the hairpin, no way through for the Porsche. There is Drassel. He might still have one last part to play in all of this. I think at this rate he's going to get there, isn't he?
Yeah, he may well. Certainly Matt Rosner, who was kind of Gregor Drassel's adversary a little while ago, is now his best mate, because he's kind of ensuring that Di Bianca can't get through and giving the opportunity for Gregor Drassel to potentially regain that 2nd position overall. He's got maybe, I would say, another lap, a lap and a half before he gets there. Can Matt Rosner hold on that long?
Right up the curve there for Di Bianca. Is there an opportunity into the hairpin? No, because Matt Rosner just held the middle ground there long enough to dissuade Di Bianca from going for it. There's a tap in the tail maybe, though, as they come out of the banked hairpin. And remember, he had a little look here a lap ago. This time it's a concerted effort, gets to the inside line, forces Rosner to concede, and then just hangs the tail out to gain some extra style points on the exit. That was very nicely done. Some debris in the middle of the road there from a car that perhaps has got gone bouncing through the gravel, but Di Bianca is through and into second place. Now that is how you make a properly committed move into that penultimate turn.
Absolutely, and now Fabian Di Bianca looking to just try and clean the tyres a bit there, and now of course he's going to hope that Matt Rosner doesn't come firing back past here on the run to the hairpin, and I think Matt could be close enough. He's set up decently there coming out of the corner, but he didn't have the same apex speed through turn 2. He's going to close, is he going to be brave enough on the brakes into turn number 6? The hairpin at the far end of the circuit, is it going to work for him? He's earlier on the brakes than Di Bianca, who has the inside line. I don't think Di Bianca's fully got it stopped for the apex, but neither has Rosner. And hello, Gregor Drassel. Nice to see you again.
Yes, now Fabian thinks, now come on then, Gregor, if you just give Matt Rosner a tough time for half a lap or so, that might just let me off the hook ever so slightly and allow me to get away. Drassel's already hunting around on the inside line into the arena section, and Matt Rosner, I think, is going to have some more defending to do here over the final 5 minutes. I think you alluded to the fact that Matt had a pretty uneventful and at times lonely weekend so far. I think he'd quite like to go back to those times and not necessarily be in the heat of battle constantly.
Yeah, solitude doesn't feel like a virtue until you experience the polar opposite, you know. The number 24 car, certainly, I think its occupant will be saying 9 to the sight of the 9 in the mirrors once again, because he remembers what happened here about 5 laps ago. And again, Gregor Drassel getting a little bit feisty on the steering wheel there. Still some, I don't know if that's carbon fibre, it looks a bit too light, but something that is down there on the exit of the corner, which I think is probably a good track limit deterrent there for the final turn. Maybe a permanent installation should be abound. Fabian Di Bianca has given himself a gap now of almost 2 seconds, so I think he's in a fairly comfortable second place for the time being, and actually with this much time left and the relative paces of Drassel versus Di Bianca all going well, I think Fabian may have sewn that up, while of course also sewing up the Cup 2 class with 4 minutes left to go. The question is, on the hypothetical overall podium, since we don't technically do one of those, will it be the Cup 1 Ferrari or the second place car in GT3 AM of Gregor Drassel in third?
Yeah, Drassel is now 20 seconds clear of Mike Jansa, so that second penalty that will be added on at the end of the race won't cost him a place right now. Of course, if he gets past Matt Rosner, he then needs to build a 10-second margin to the Ferrari, and that might be a bridge too far. So, he's up the inside again into the arena. My word, Gregor Drassel's got some confidence under braking, hasn't he? That is, of course, one of the advantages of a GT3 car. Around he goes, and, well, never mind. Off he goes into the runoff area, and he needs to get that car fired up quickly, otherwise he will fall within 10 seconds of the next couple of Cup 2 cars behind. That was a reasonably speedy recovery, and he gets back underway. But yes, the point I was about to make, ironically, is that the GT3 car, with all of its electronic trickery, should in theory be a bit better on the brakes, have a bit more traction on corner exit, and maybe a bit more downforce as well. But Gregor Drassel, despite all of that, found his way into the runoff area.
Matt Rosner with a new spin on a classic as he sings down the helmet at the moment. D-United, and it feels so good. So then, second place in Cup 2, looking fairly close at the moment. Marco Reinbold, 4/10 quicker on the previous lap. He was 1.4 seconds away. I don't know if it's gone down by that much this time, but I think it will be about maybe 1.2 seconds as they come across the line. The 3 and the 911, 1.3 between them as they come across the line, while Cup 2 leader Fabian Di Bianca is comfortable. I'm not sure that Mike Jansa is quite in such a nice cushion.
No, not really, and yeah, 10th slower on the previous lap, but if you're the Marco Reinbold of this situation, you really want to be gaining by a little bit more than that per lap. Yes, he is quicker, but they're in identical cars, remember, running, you know, in a one-make series specification, so there's not going to be any performance advantage really when he gets there, and you want to arrive with a bit more momentum than that to suggest that the overtake's going to happen easily. That won't stop him trying, though. Marco Reinbold, who we've seen enjoy success so far this weekend in Cup 2, and was leading the class, of course, in the first portion of this race, won't be all that satisfied if he has to occupy the third step of the podium later on, so any opportunity he will take, he's just got to get that little bit closer, and it's always that last half a second or so that's the hardest to find.
Absolutely, and I will say for Mike Jansa, win, lose or draw, he's really impressed me this weekend. Marco Reinbold is very well acquainted with driving cars of GT flavour, be it GT4s, GT3s, even though the Cup car a slightly newer proposition for him. But for Mike Janser, it's his third ever race meeting after doing track days with SA Performance previously. His performances this weekend, I think, are a credit to himself and a credit to the SA team. He looks very, very well polished, and you can learn quite a lot from a track day, but his wheel-to-wheel has been great as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the real appeals of coming and racing in something like the Summer Series. We hear drivers say the same about the Winter Series. It's a good opportunity not only to get more track time, but to hone your racecraft skills. And as we've seen from this race, it's often not as easy as you'd think to execute an overtake or a successful defensive manoeuvre. Fabian Di Bianca there really wriggling into the hair, but he's been lapping quicker than the leader on recent laps. Admittedly, Thomas Vestarp has a 30-plus second lead to fall back on. He's also on the potentially final lap of the race here, I think, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's 10 seconds from home. There he is now, coming to the penultimate corner. The CCS car, Thomas Vestarp, runs through turn 17 for the final time. 16 for some, it depends how you count. But we can count Thomas Vestarp as a winner in the GT Summer Series. 3 winners in 3 races for our first weekend. Quite a competitive little field that we've got on our hands, I think, for the GT Summer Series. Next across the line, just coming through the final section now, is Fabian Di Bianca. He will be clear in second place. He will also be in second overall. He'll also be the winner in the Cup 2 class. GT4 winner Finn Zulauf and Daniel Reiter come across the line in tandem with them, so that's a class win there. Not much, though, between Zulauf and Erdmann by the end of the race, just a couple of seconds. That was close stuff, so that's exciting to watch. And actually good proof of the BOP concept there as well, that Erdmann was able to keep up with a drive of the caliber of Zulauf, so proving that that works nicely. Gregor Drassel has come across the line for 4th overall behind Matt Rosner, and Mike Janser will follow him, but he will be more than 10 seconds back. So as long as Gregor doesn't get an additional penalty for the contact with Pierre Lemmers, he should keep his 4th place overall. We now follow the 69 car across the line. This is Urs Frick in the Cup X class. He concludes his first weekend of competitive racing with a checkered flag and another P1 trophy. So congratulations to him. And that was the last car remaining to take the checkered flag. 11 made it home eventually. 15 were supposed to start. We've had a little bit of attrition this weekend, but we've had some great racing all along. Let's talk you through that order then after that race in a few moments' time at least, because let's just cover the class winners that we haven't covered. In fact, I did get to cover all of them, so that's okay. We are delighted, though, to see that we've had such a competitive first weekend here in the Summer Series with 3 different winners in 3 races. This man, Thomas Vestarp, being the latest of them. And myself and Izzy were talking about it shortly before we went live. He was P2 race 1, P2 race 2, and it felt like it was coming. It was just a matter of, would it be this weekend? Was the when going to be race 3, or would he maybe have to wait for a future outing at Oschersleben or another round of the GT Summer Series? He's done it. He's sealed himself as a Summer Series winner. And CCS Racing Team, whom he's very familiar with collaborating, have got themselves a P1 as well. Fabian Di Bianca, so excited to see what he does this summer. His primary campaign is going to be the International GT Open, where he'll be sharing with GT Winter Series alumni Hubert Darmetko. That's going to be a very strong combo in a GT3 BMW. There's Thomas Vestarp then pulling up to the P1 board. And certainly a very worthy drive. Yes, there was a lucky break, of course, with the pit stop window and the safety car situation, which made things a little bit easier for him in the second phase of the race. But all the same, I'm mightily impressed with his driving, and we've seen him win before in German GT competitions. We've seen him defeat Kenneth Heyer, who of course we're very, very familiar with from the GT Winter Series, a multi-time champion across classes and the overall standings. Kenneth Heyer in the GT Winter Series. And yeah, Thomas Verstappen, really impressive. There is Fabian Di Bianca to deliver the car to P2. He and Igor Klaya, I think, did just about everything right there. Both of them looked very attacking, very aggressive, but they made it work for themselves, so that was great to see. And Matt Rosner concludes a very strong weekend with third place, certainly his most lively race of the weekend, and I'm sure he had a lot of fun. I think there'll be some smiles there and some adrenaline coursing through the veins after that one, but all smiles down there with the top three at this stage. Let's go through the results then of race 3 in the GT Summer Series. Thomas Verstappen winning by 30 seconds ultimately over Fabian Di Bianca. Matt Rosner in P3 for Gabs Competizione, a great weekend for them and a strong performance from Matt for sure. Gregor Drassel, a dramatic race, 4th provisionally, because I think still under investigation is that collision with Pierre Lemers. Mike Janza in 5th place, taking 2nd in Cup 2, wrapping up a really strong weekend for him. Marco Reinbold next in 6th overall, restricted 992 GT3 Cup, taking 7th, ahead of Ronnie Bremer, who finished the race in the Race Lab number 55 car. Johnny Pedersen taking the start. Franz Binder in P9, and then Daniel Reiter and Finn Zulaw's car, the first GT4 spec machine home. He was just ahead of Tobias Erdmann at the end of that race. Unfortunately, we lost Bertold Grun in the midst of the pit window. Pierre Lemers, of course, had that collision with Drassel at turn 1. That led to the safety car period, and Ole Petersen's car limping after just a few laps of the race. I'd have been very interested to see where he would have factored into that second half of the race had the car made it the distance. Of course, we also lost the number 30 W&S Porsche. That unfortunately had battery issues and was not able to compete in this third and final race of the weekend, but I understand we will be seeing them again very soon in the GT Summer Series. Sounds like they are going to seal that one for a full season effort, and that is going to be great fun to see. So then, 3 races in the books. First weekend in the books. And by all the accounts I've heard pre-race, and I'm sure post-race, it has been a resounding success. And the most resoundingly successful drivers of all are with Izzy Browning now.
Well, welcome back down to the Heroes Arena. I have our race winner alongside. Well, he's just having a quick chat. I am going to interrupt their chat while they start debriefing the race. I don't speak German, otherwise I would be able to tell you a little bit about what they're chatting about. But sadly, I can't. But I do have our race winner alongside. Thomas, congratulations. Great way to end the weekend. I mean, P2, and then you had to go and get the win. How was it out there?
Yes, it was a nice race, but I missed a little bit the battle at the beginning. The Lambo, I think he must go into the box and can't drive, but it was a nice race.
Yeah, he did. He retired, pulled into the pit lane. But yeah, you did a great job. I mean, the safety car, actually, in some ways, you were the first one to pit, so that helped you build that gap afterwards.
Yes, it's help us, and so it was very easy at the end to win.
Well, end of the weekend in the GT Summer Series. How have you found it overall?
I like it. Very nice. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Well done. We're glad you have enjoyed your weekend. Right. I'm going to try and squeeze round. We've got people taking a couple of photos, but I can see our P2 of Fabian Di Bianca. I think Igor Klaya is down here, although I think he's just having a chat with the team. We will grab you. Well, congratulations. Great job, both. I mean, I'll start with you because you started the race. There was a bit of paint traded, a bit of rubbing with the other Porsche car. How was it?
It was quite tight, but it was fine. You know,
normal fight on the way. So actually, yeah, it was great to fight with this guy, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I think it was in general a good race. So that was the strategy, that I have to be so close to the leader, and the goal was that Fabian will do the rest job. So.
And you did do a fantastic job when you jumped in. I mean, you were quickly past Mike Janser, and then it was chasing after P2. What a stint.
Yeah, exactly. We had a nice safety car which helped us a lot. So after Igor's stint, I hopped into the car, and yeah, I got to do the job. So I hope Igor's happy. I'm happy for sure.
Yeah, very happy.
So yeah, I think we maximized the result today.
Yeah, you certainly did. I mean, you both got great smiles on your faces. You've clearly enjoyed this weekend.
And you know, I did for him a bit more difficult because I destroyed geometry, so he was a bit, you know, understeering. So, but anyway, he's young, he has to manage.
Yeah, you have to learn somehow, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations, guys. Well done. Right, I'm going to see if I can grab a word with our P3, although he is having quite the debrief right now. But I do see our P3, Matt Rosner, and I'm going to see if I can squeeze past the team. Well, congratulations. Good way to end the weekend. I mean, earlier I said to you it was a bit of a lonely race. That was anything but a lonely race. You had quite a lot of people pushing you there.
Yeah, that was a lot more fun than before. Yeah. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mix of different cars that you had pushing you as well. I mean, Gregor sadly ended up making a mistake, so sort of took himself out of that battle. But what was it like in the car?
Yeah, you know, of course, I'm with the car, I'm slower in the turns, so slower in sector 3 and faster in sector 2. So first you get away, and then of course they always catch you, and you need to take care that they don't overtake you, and then at some point I make a mistake, and yeah, well, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
A lot of fun. And overall the weekend, how would you say things have gone?
Well, it was pretty good. I think we've had everything. Lonely rides, a bit of battle, sun, rain, everything was very good.
Well, we hope to see you back. Congratulations. Glad you've enjoyed the weekend. Thank you for speaking to us. And those are the thoughts of our top 3 in our final race of the GT Summer Series.
Certainly very few dull moments in that race, and I agree that certainly if your name is Matt Rosner, almost zero dull moments collectively for him. He really was on the edge of his seat at times in that race. Not that you can get to the edge of a bucket seat while strapped in, but, you know, figures of speech are what they are. A shame there to see in that shot that Pierre Lemmers's Audi ends the weekend on a flatbed, but I hope we'll see them again soon in the GT Summer Series. Lemmers and Kroker showing just how strong of a combination they are, who are always a very strong proposition in the various GT championships that they've entered, and as we saw, especially in race 1, of course, with Kroker's commanding overall victory. That SP Racing Cologne entry is really strong, and perhaps Sandra, the partner of Pierre Lemmers, the S in SP, could potentially be on for a little battle in the GT Summer Series later on with her GT4 Audi, although she did mention aspirations of GT3 as well, so potentially we could see them sharing later in the year. That would certainly be entertaining. I must say, this weekend, getting the opportunity to talk to, I think, every driver in the paddock over the course of the last 3 days, it's quite clear that this is a really friendly atmosphere, certainly at this stage of the season. Of course, let's see where things are at the last couple of events, but I think a lot of drivers, a lot of teams keen to show their support to the Summer Series concept, to get a flavour for what it's all about, and potentially meet their competition for the rounds to come for those who are looking to do a full season bid, which, as I understand, is quite a significant portion of who we've seen here today. So that is really cool to see. Of course, we've got some great tracks coming up. The current kickoff point for the DTM is our next step on the calendar. That, of course, being the Motorsport Arena Oschersleben, which is almost 30 years old now, say it quietly. Nürburgring will follow that in June. the legendary Spa-Francorchamps will really be the crown jewel of the calendar at the end of August as well. A good time, I think, to be at Spa-Francorchamps. And we'll come back and finish it all up right here at the Hockenheimring for the season finale. That will be the 2nd through to the 4th of October 2026 to find out who will be our GT Summer Series inaugural champions. And that's always something good to see, isn't it? To be the inaugural champion. It's a nice little thing to chuck on the resume here or there. So then the drivers currently being herded down there. I think we've got a couple of minutes before we confidently can assert that we've got all the parties we need for Andy McEwen and his podium ceremony. But for the last time this weekend, they'll get the opportunity to celebrate, put their hair down, and have some fun in the sun here at Hockenheim. And thankfully not a figure of speech, that one. We had some great sunshine in race 1 and again here in race 3. Race 2 this morning was a literal damp patch, but otherwise it has been really positive and really great weather this weekend for the inaugural GT Summer Series contest. Myself and Andy McEwen are actually sat where you're looking right now in the sunshine, a few rows down the grandstand in the stadium earlier in the weekend. And I will say, between the sun beating down on you and the plastic chairs, it does get quite hot, certainly. I think both myself and Andy will have a tan that will last us to Oschersleben, courtesy of the sun here at this Summer Series Hockenheim event. That is the place to be, by the way, if you ever do come here to the Hockenheim circuit, the stadium section that's been there since 1965, product of John Hugenholtz, who also designed circuits like Suzuka and Harama. This is a section that has been a welcome addition to the circuit. 50 years? No, 61 years ago now. And John Hugenholtz, a great name in circuit designing and also a director of the Zandvoort circuit in the early years as well. He made his contribution to the famous shape of the Hockenheim circuit that of course has changed a lot over the years, and we spoke to Frank Bieler about that of course during the weekend. I do suggest you go back and look at some of the interviews that we've played out between these races and between the Heroes Arena and the start of races, because we've got to talk to some great people. And of course Frank Bieler is our driver advisor for this year in the GT Summer Series. The 5-time Le Mans winner, DTM champion and BTCC champion, has been offering his sage advice all weekend long. I don't think he's done a seminar on champagne spraying yet, but I think that's okay because there's no bubbly, only Andy McEwen ready to greet them on the podium.
So we're ready to go with our final podium of the weekend. The sun shining upon the Heroes Arena, just as it was when we started things yesterday afternoon. We start with our final Cup X podium of the weekend. Second position in Cup X, Franz Binder. Well done, Franz. Third appearance on the Hockenheimring podium. But the class victory in Cup X, despite picking up a penalty midway through the race, is Urs Frick. Well done. On to the top of the podium. A small blip at the start, being out of position on the rolling lap, but manages to get the win in Cup X, and the golden #1 trophy will head his way. And second position for Franz Binder as well in the 2 Cup X cars that we had out this weekend. And they will once again pose for the cameras. Same procedure as it has been for every podium this weekend, except for the introduction of those 2 very loosely corked bottles of champagne at the driver's feet. We'll wait and see whether they decide to spray or save it for this evening's festivities. And with the photos taken, they will indeed pick up the bottles of champagne, and we're going to get our first champagne spraying of the season in the GT Summer Series, courtesy of our Cup X drivers. And I'm realising now that I'm tethered to a boombox here at the podium and have no exit route, which is fantastic news. Right, first podium done. Cup 1 is up next, and for the third time this weekend, we welcome our Cup 1 victor, Matt Rosner. Well done, Matt, who once again was fighting for an overall podium in that race, and he will be very pleased, I'm sure, to have enjoyed such a close battle, particularly his scrap with Gregor Drasel. That was very, very entertaining to watch throughout the middle portion of the race. He takes his winner's trophy, and lots of cameras, and again, for the third time this weekend, a big crowd of people gathered around the Heroes Arena, which really has become the central point of the Hockenheimring paddock this weekend, which has been really nice to see. He's going to save the drink for later, so we'll let you go and enjoy that, Matt, with the team, maybe. Share that with the team in the garage later on. Yeah, that's yours. You can take that with you, Matt, unless you want to donate it, of course, to a very hard-working commentator. That would be absolutely fine by me. Cup 2 up next. More champagne brought out onto the podium, and we have 5 bottles this time. This is going to be one of the busier podiums of the afternoon, with a little bit of discussion as to where they go. Yeah, one on the second step, but the other 2 cars in the podium positions were 2 driver entries. So third position in Cup 2 goes the way of Marco Reinbold and Paul Huschberger. Well done, guys. Third step for the XR Racing duo. That is closest to me. Second position for SA Performance's Mike Janza. Mike's been a factor in all 3 of the races in Cup 2 this weekend, and has a big smile on his face as he climbs to the second step of the podium. The biggest smiles, though, will belong to PTT Racing. They claim the victory with Igor Klyer and Fabian Di Bianca. And the PTT team are here to give them a big cheer as they head to the top of the podium. A real battling drive that was. Igor Klyer did his bit in the first part of the race, but then the pace that Fabian Di Bianca had in the second half was absolutely awe-inspiring as he went and started challenging some of the, in theory, quicker class cars, which again were not balanced in performance against each other. He was simply driving the wheels off the Porsche Cup car, and PTT Racing will be very, very pleased with that end result. If there's room on the top step, no, never mind. The corks are coming out already. Forget posing for the photos. They are instead going to give each other an absolute soaking on the Heroes Arena podium. And I think maybe Mike Janza came out of that the worst, but he's saving his drink for later. He's the smartest man, I think, is Mike, and he will head backstage celebrating another podium finish. No Cup 4 podium, of course, because Ole Peterson was the only Cup 4 entrant in that one, and he sadly didn't make it to the end with that technical issue early in the race when running in second position. So we move on instead to GT4 AM, and it's the second step this time for the Safeheart Motorsport duo of Tobias Erdmann and Bernd Scheibel. Onto the podium they will head, and it is a podium finish, not the top step this time though, because that belongs to Reiter Racing. Second step, the bottles are on the wrong step. We'll sort that in a moment for you guys. The glass window goes in GT4 AM to Reiter Racing's Daniel Reiter and Finn Zulauf. And yeah, there we go. Let's get the champagnes where they ought to be. We've got the 2 bottles waiting for our class winners on the top step, and Daniel Reiter and Finn Zulauf. A really, really strong effort. That the timing of the pit stop in the safety car maybe played a factor in that, with the Safeheart team electing to stay out that extra lap, and that sort of took them out of the equation ever so slightly. Trophies can come out. There we go. They would be a good idea, wouldn't they? Trophies for our podium finishes in GT4 AM. When the drivers start looking at me quizzically, I know that I've forgotten something, and it's quite important that they get their trophies at the end of a hard-fought weekend. Now they gather together for the photos on the top step of the podium. And Tobias and Bernd join Daniel and Finn on the top step. Good to have Finn out in that race as well for a stint for the first time this weekend. Handshakes, is that just a distraction maybe, so that the Safeheart duo can get the corks out of their bottles quicker? I think it was. And the champagne sprays once again over the Heroes Arena podium, and Finn Zulauf gets about half a bottle's worth poured down his back. I actually don't think he found that entirely unpleasant. It was very warm over the course of that race. The temperature definitely rising this afternoon compared to what we had this morning. Right, final podium then of the afternoon. We've got the final bottles of champagne. Yes, it's safe to come out now and place them on the podium. And yeah, first and second steps then, with 1 bottle apiece for our top 2 drivers, our only 2 drivers to make it to the finish in the end in GT3 AM. Second position after, I think it's fair to say, an eventful race, Gregor Drasel. Well done, Gregor. Gave us a lot to get excited about in that third race of the weekend. But the happiest of them all, the CCS Racing squad celebrate a race victory, another win in class, and this time an overall victory for Thomas Verstappen. On to the top of the podium he will go, looking very calm about everything. That was a fantastic performance from him. As I said, we saw him on the top of the GT3 AM podium earlier on today, but this time claiming the overall race victory, becoming our third different outright victor of the weekend. So the final two trophies then are handed out, and we get one final champagne shower. The podium looking very wet at the moment. No, I think they're going to save them for later. Well, Gregor's considering it. And Thomas thinks, well, go on then, I'll join in as well. The champagne sprays for the final time in the GT Summer Series Heroes Arena. No one is safe from Thomas Verstappen, who goes chasing after team members who are gathering to take a photo of him. And they will celebrate in style this evening, I'm sure. So that concludes then our podium presentation, and concludes a fantastic debut weekend of the season for the GT Summer Series.
The GT Summer Series here in Hockenheim, and what a weekend we've had. We've had mixed weather, we've had 3 different winners, and I think also, Adam, we've had a lot of fun.
We've had a lot of fun. There's some really good characters in this paddock, some very entertaining people who I've been watching for several years and go, I wonder what they're like. And you know what? This is a really friendly paddock. I was just saying it before the podium. You know, we'll see what happens when we're here in October and people have maths going on with points and stuff like that. But this weekend, it's been a village of happy campers, and we've had some jolly good racing too.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, the camaraderie between some of the drivers has been great. You know, always congratulating each other and having chats after the races, Andy, which is what we like to see. And also for us, I mean, we've had plenty of interesting chats in the Heroes Arena too.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the Heroes Arena element of the weekend, actually. It's given us great access to not only the drivers, but quite a few people we wouldn't normally get the chance to speak to necessarily. And the fact that it's been a slightly more relaxed weekend for us personally, just covering the 3 races, means we've really been able to delve into what goes on behind the scenes at a GEDLICH Racing event. It's fascinating, and yeah, great camaraderie, a relaxed atmosphere in the paddock, and yet somehow the competition on track seemed to get fiercer and fiercer with every race that went by. So for all of the happiness and the chatting and the laughter in the paddock, it's proper racing out on circuit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, for a first weekend of this brand new series, I said at the beginning of the weekend, it's a new challenge on the horizon for GEDLICH Racing, the small team that put this together. But in terms of a first weekend, I mean, I don't think we could have asked for much more.
Yeah, and you know what? I was talking to Marcus about this in the Heroes Arena pre-race. There's elements of the Winter Series that are here that are really recognisable, but we've also taken some of that USP, and I think they've understood what their market is here versus in the winter in Portugal and Spain. So, you know, everything needs refining and fine-tuning. You can't leave any product alone. You've always got to tweak stuff a little bit, and Marcus alluded to it. We're going to take some lessons from what's happened this weekend, and we're going to take some lessons from this Summer Series season and apply it to the next Winter Series. They're kind of going to feed each other going forward.
Yeah, and we certainly look forward to it. But that does indeed bring us to the end of the weekend here in Hockenheim. The next round of the GT Summer Series will be in Oschersleben. We are excited to go there, tick another track off our list, and we will hope to have your company then. We'll see you then.
Give me this life so sweet.